What's going on, guys? Wanted to make this video talking about why it's important to drive a crappy car in your 20s if you want to be successful financially, and how I've been able to do that, and how it's been able to push me along significantly financially to be able to invest, buy rental properties, build a nice little asset portfolio and be able to have more financial stability and more cushion in my life and less overall stress, right? So if you're going to be successful, you have to understand that every single dollar you make has to be invested. Every single second of your day has to be invested into your dream, your business, whatever it is you're trying to build. It has to be, you have to be efficient with the resources that you have. And one thing that I've learned is that not having a car payment that's 500, 600, $700 a month, not having a car payment is a massive advantage over all the other people out there that have to pay for that every single month. Just think about it. I mean, that's something that people pay. Some people pay more on their car than they do for their mortgage. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. And if you're able just to live so cheap to where you have a very inexpensive place to live, maybe you're house hacking, maybe you live with your parents, whatever it might be, you're not spending very much money on your cost of living. And on top of that, you also don't have a car payment where you have a very inexpensive car. It's going to give you a lot more flexibility, a lot more freedom, and a lot more cushion in order for you to invest into your future, right? You're going to be able to buy assets with that money instead of you just paying for, your car payment, right? This is something that I've done in my life. I'm 27 years old. I've had the same car that I've had my entire life. I've only had one vehicle. It was the car that my parents got me when I was 18 years old and I got my license. It's funny, I actually got my license I think it might have been, it was either 18 or 17, but it took me forever to get my license because I moved throughout high school, and when I moved to Illinois, it originally from Texas. When I moved to Illinois, my permit didn't transfer over, so I had to do driver's ed and everything else over again. So anyway, I didn't get my license until I was a lot older. It was kind of embarrassing at the time, but my point is, I got a 2014 Ford Fusion that my parents got me that was a used car. I think at the time it had like 70,000 miles or so on it. Nothing fancy by any means. And again, I'm very blessed to have parents that got me that car. I know a lot of people might not even have that luxury. But I've always taken pretty good care of the car, and I still use it to this day. And this is something that I plan on driving until the absolute wheels fall off because I don't have a car payment. It's completely paid off. It's not that expensive, and it gets me from point A to point B, and that's all I need it for. Okay, I'm 27 years old. I don't need to flex. Okay, I mean, I'd much rather just put those dollars into real estate, into crypto, into stocks, whatever it might be. I'd much rather invest those dollars into assets and or my education so that I can continue to earn more money, right? Guys, you want to be the guy who's making big money and saving big money and moving forward financially, who lives like he's broke. That's what you want to be. You don't want to be the guy who's over here acting like he's got it all figured out, acting like he's driving this big fancy car that cost him $1,000 a month just in a car payment, or living in this big expensive apartment that doesn't even make sense when he's in his 20s. All that stuff is just a joke, guys. You want to bypass all of that, and when you're in your mid to late 20s, you're going to have a lot of friends who are doing that kind of stuff, and it's only putting them further and further behind because they get to a point to where they have to go to work, and just in order to pay for all their stuff that they own. So they're really becoming a slave to all the possessions that they have in their life, and it's a game that I don't want to play. And it's something that I've kind of committed to myself, just in understanding that, like, hey, I'm not going to buy a new car for a long time, right? And even if this one blows out and I have to get a new one, I'm probably just going to get a regular, like a Honda Accord or something like that that's used. And because those are good cars, and I'm just going to drive that into the ground as well and just buy it in cash to where it's not that much, and um, just use it for as long as I possibly can. Because again, I don't have to worry about someone dinging my car. I could care less if they scratch my car. It doesn't matter to me, right? I got other things I'm trying to focus on. I'm trying to focus on making more money, trying to focus on my investments, trying to focus on learning, trying to focus on developing my career, moving forward, building my education, networking, meeting people. These are the things that I'm trying to focus on. I'm not trying to be the guy who's focused on having the coolest car when he's in his 20s, right? That's a losing game. Even if you have a cool car, who cares? Right? I promise you guys, no one cares, right? They're not going to be the ones to pay for your car for if you go out and buy a big fancy car and just to try to look cool online, I promise you it's not going to be so cool when you have to pay for that every single month and it's eating away from the money that you would otherwise be able to invest, right? So guys, I encourage you, live cheap, live in a very modest dwelling. Drive a very modest car. You don't need to drive a complete junker, but it's really up to you. I mean, I drive a regular car that's fairly run down. There's nothing sexy about it. The only thing that I really had done to it is I got tinted windows. It's just an all black Ford Fusion. um, if you saw it in real life, you'd be like, okay, what is this? It's not a fancy car, right? But it gets me from point A to point B, and that's all I need it for. I don't need to, you know, put out a fashion statement with my vehicle. I'm 27 years old. Like, guys, we got to get real about you know, taking people's opinions of you so seriously. I mean, that's really plaguing our society, right? That's why people wear the clothes they wear. That's why people, do the things they do. That's why people go on trips to take photos so they can look like they're, balling or whatever it might be. They buy cars, they buy houses they can't afford. People do all kinds of crazy stuff in life just to look like they've got it figured out. But the reality is, none of us really do have it figured out. We're all trying to figure it out. So stop acting like you have it taken care of and you've, cracked the code, right? Especially when you're in your 20s. Nobody expects you to have nice things, which is okay. So ride on that expectation and live like you're broke. Drive a shitty car, you know, walk to work, whatever it might be. If you live in a city, walk, ride a bike, do whatever you got to do. Like, save your money, man. Like, this is nobody's coming to save you. So you got to do what you got to do in order to put yourself in a financial position that is comfortable, right? I feel far less stressed financially when I have less things to pay for. I mean, it's simple. I don't like having a whole bunch of things I have to pay for every single month, and a car payment that's five, six, seven, $800 a month is just something I'm not interested in. Maybe at some point when I have enough passive income to pay for that much, um, to pay for that vehicle, and I already do have enough passive income to pay for that. But one day when I have more than enough and I want to buy something fancy, then I can do that, and I can do that responsibly. But I promise you, buying something like that in your 20s and having a big fat car payment is not what you want to do. It's only going to set you further and further behind. And people like me, people like some of you guys that might be listening to this, that are hungry and that are focused and that are committed to their goals, they're going to move right past you because they're focused on winning and you're focused on looking cool and looking like you got the coolest car on Instagram, right? I promise you, nobody cares about that. And at the end of the day, it's only slowing down your progress towards your goals, or the goals that you say that you have, rather. So, guys, that's my recommendation. I hope you guys, take it or leave it. It's really up to you. But I'm going to continue to drive my beater POS, my Ford Fusion into the ground because it's something that has allowed me to save a lot of money and invest a lot of money, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. It's something that is put me in a very good position financially, and I plan on continuing to do that as time goes on. And again, I highly recommend you guys do that as well, especially if you're in your 20s, man. This is the time to live cheap. This is the time to move in with a bunch of buddies and, not have a payment on your house or anything. This is the time to do that kind of stuff. It's not going to be as easy to do that when you're, 35, 40 years old and you have kids and a wife. It's not as easy to do that, right? So maximize this period where you don't have any kind of expectation to, have nice things, and just lean into that. Act like you're broke, look like you're broke, but hustle like you're freaking trying to get rich. That's what you got to do, man. And, if you do that for a long enough period of time, you'll have so much passive income from your assets that you can afford anything you want. But the reality is, who cares even if you get to that point? Even if you get to that point where you have, 10, $20,000 a month in passive income and you can afford nice stuff, real ballers will just keep on doing what they're doing and keep moving forward, right? It's not about the possession, it's not about the luxury. And that's definitely something I've learned throughout my life as I've, been around successful people and, been able to just get a better perspective on life in general. It's not going to make you happy and it's not going to fulfill you. So, I hope this helps you guys out. Hope this resonates with somebody. I hope this kind of kicks somebody in the butt, lets them know that, the things they might be focusing on may not be worth focusing on. And if you want to really get ahead, you need to save your money and you need to invest every single dollar that you can. So, I love you guys. Hope this helps you guys out. And I'll see you in the next one.